We're online. Kyle, please start.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of VCTV. Here at LATOKEN, we're excited to welcome you from around the world as our global audience to tune in to hear a lot of what's happening in the future of work, remote, and education technology. Each of these three areas have been dramatically impacted or changed rapidly over the past few months. And we're here with some outstanding investors from around the world to talk about what's happening in this space, what they're seeing, how they're seeing this unfold, and what their thoughts are on where the future of each of these industries will head off to. After we get through all of these great insights, we've got some outstanding startups who will get a chance to compete for the grand prize winnings at the end of the show. And then we'll get to a little bit more insights from our investors and speakers on what it takes to survive over the next 6 to 9 months in this industry. And so a quick shout out to Elena and the LATOKEN team for making this all happen. They do all the behind the scene work and make sure that we can bring all of this great information and insights to you wherever you may be, at home or at a barbecue or anywhere else you may be enjoying our exciting show today. And without further ado, I'm Kyle Ellicott. I am your host and moderator for the show today. Since we do have a great panel and a lot of people to get to, I will pause here and do Family Feud style and get to everybody as a quick introduction before we roll into our panel. Without further ado, Dion, welcome to the show. Please, a quick introduction about yourself and maybe a quick thought or two on what's going on in this industry.
Sure, thanks, Kyle. So I'm Dion DeLoof, co-founder and general partner for AI8 Ventures out of San Francisco, and we're a early stage, usually Series A, Series B investor in fintech and future work companies, two areas that we focus on exclusively. We're a current fund invested in 10 different companies, about 3 years deep into the fund, and starting our next fund here shortly. So I'll, interest of time, defer to some further thoughts on what's happening in COVID times, but certainly, I'd broadly say our fintech companies are performing exceptionally well, and our future of work are companies which tend to be more remote, low human touch platforms or offerings or same day pay. While COVID is clearly human tragedy, it's actually the companies that are innovating in those spaces are performing very well. So we're quite happy there, but looking forward to the discussion today.
Awesome. Welcome back. Happy to have you again. Dennis.
Thank you.
All the way over in Europe. Welcome to the show. Quick introduction.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So my name is Dennis Kirpensteijn. I'm managing director at Faraday Venture Partners, which is a pan-European early stage investor made up of a lot of private individuals who, via us, invest in individual funds and startups across all different industries. Also, obviously, into stuff that is very, very relevant today, such as distant learning. We got a couple of things that sort of pivoted into telemedicine now over the last couple of weeks and months, which is very relevant when we're talking about remote work in the medical sort of environment. So I'm very happy to have a chat about all of these different areas today, which are really seeing a huge change in the last couple of weeks.
Awesome. We're excited to dive in. And my man from across the pond, Max, welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure having you. Quick introduction.
Hi, Rahul. Thanks for having me. Massimiliano is my name. Max is fine. It's very much short. It's too long. And I'm the founder and managing director of HSMI. We are M&A private equity venture capital boutique. So we're very lucky we work with across all venture, which means all startup, and also we are very focused in private equity M&A. I'm an angel investor, pretty much agnostic, more tech than software, although I like both of them. I'm raising my first venture capital fund right now. Hope we can start investing by the end of the year in early stage. Let's see the pre-A round. Again, I'm agnostic because, yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome back. Zhang, welcome to the show for the first time. We're excited to have you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. I'm Jean de Fougerolles. I'm originally from Montreal, but I've been in London for 22 years. And 7 years ago, I started Ascension Ventures. So I'm the managing partner there. We're a seed investor, UK only. We've invested in 92 companies over the last 5 years. So we're pretty busy. We do a lot of future of work, digital health, gaming, fintech, sustainability. So quite a few of those themes are performing well, and we are launching a £50 million future of work fund, but focused on kind of income creation. How do we kind of invest in businesses that are building the tools and platforms for people to start generating income in a kind of new world?
Excited to open that up a little bit more as you teased pre-show. So welcome to the show, Rahul. Also welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm Rahul Gupta. I'm a consultant of venture capital and alternate investment funds in India. I invest over 6 years of my career into technology-focused VC fund. I have varied over 12 years of experience across wide spectrum of VC consulting, PMS, and other financial services in India. Thank you.
Awesome. Xiaochen.
Hey, thank you. It's a great just to come back. And my name is Xiaochen Zhang, the president of FinTech for Good, and also the partner of Remote Venture. And we are a FinTech blockchain investor and incubator accelerator. And it's a kind of an interesting time that, during COVID-19, many of our startups actually get more opportunities than before. And many of them are just working on digital technologies, which are now becoming part of the broader COVID-19 solution. And just yesterday, that's some of our startup just send us the list of grant type of money available for them. And this is like more than 100 type of grant opportunity for specifically his solution. So I was really extremely happy about that. And also because FinTech for Good has this specific social impact dimension, and we work very closely with the UN system. So during the pandemic, that many of the UN agencies reach out to us and trying to get emerging technology enabled COVID-19 solution to reopen the economy, to address the health challenge, education challenge. And we are very happy that now that the demand is from the other side and coming to us, and we were able to bring our portfolio companies to them. And we are also preparing for our next acceleration program with a focus on healthcare, education, and working, and the digital finance. Yeah.
Wow. Well, welcome to the show. We're excited to, again, dive deeper into that. Mitchell.
Well, sorry,
welcome. There we go. Welcome back.
Thank you. Looking forward.
Happy to have you. If you could give a quick introduction to the audience, who you are, what you do, and we'll keep going from there.
Yes. So I've been doing a lot of venture advising and helping companies get, I guess the way I describe it, kind of fit for funding, and helping navigate so that they're a little more aligned with investor interests on the early stage side, mostly US companies. And before that, I was doing product management and a little bit of product marketing, typically mostly in tech and software. But I have a quite diverse background if I start going back a little bit further back in time. But delighted to be back here. I thought the conversation last time was awesome. So looking forward.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll do even better today. I think we've got a pretty outstanding panel. And Adrian, welcome to the show. Oh, you're on mute.
Welcome, everybody. I have troubles with logging into Zoom. I don't know why. Also, last time I have the same problem. It takes more than 20 minutes to log in. And now it didn't work on the laptop, only on the mobile. I have to I have to see where is the problem.
No worries. We're just happy to have you. If you could, a quick introduction, who you are, what you do, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
My name is Adrian Niculescu, and I work with Faster Capital, a Dubai-based accelerator and incubator for startups as a regional director for UK and Romania. Also, I'm involved in CloudCoin Consortium, CloudCoin being a post-blockchain digital currency as CMO for EMEA area, and also involved as a mentor in Virgin Startups programs. Thank you very much for having me here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all again for joining, and thank you to our audience who are tuning in. So if you have any questions in the audience, feel free to drop them on YouTube or in the chat, and we'll try to flag them as they come in. But everyone, we've got, I think, some of the brightest and best here in the room. So just to kick this off, I mean, in the past 2 to 3 months, and in some cases all the way back to 6+ months, the idea of the future of work, how we're handling things, what our future of our lives looks like, including education, has completely been challenged or forced into shifting. You've got universities across the world that are moving from physical to digital instantly. You have businesses that have had to make that shift in a matter of days and are looking to make that longer term, which has different impacts, whether that be here in the Bay, in the US, in the world. It's something that's being talked about on a global scale. So kind of to kick us off, where are we? What's really happening when we talk about the future of work, the future of remote and education technology? And Dion, I want to start with you. Where are we with all of this? What does all this really mean? And is it just a blip because of the situation, or is this actually something we're building towards and it's just been accelerated?
Thanks, Kyle. No, I don't think it's a blip. I mean, even pre-COVID, I mean, it certainly accelerated. I mean, some of the basics, I would say, like remote work, and the companies that we have a host of the portfolio companies and others that were remote working anyway, or they were completely distributed, and so that's an obvious, easy pivot for them. Not much has changed. On the other hand, I mean, just speaking in the Bay Area, right, is most of the larger tech companies, Alphabet, LinkedIn, Google, Twitter, full-time remote, not coming back. So, I think that's an evolution and an acceleration for that. What I find really interesting in tech companies are able to do that quite easily. It's the non-tech companies that, specific for remote work, is much more difficult. So then I look at the platforms and companies saying, okay, if it's on the talent acquisition side, are you a two-sided marketplace? And that's now working in some industries and being used where traditionally it hasn't. So truckers are finding positions or what have you. And also then sort of all the ancillary, I'll call them sort of services, but like one company that we fortunately have, but it's same day pay to gig workers. So at the end of a shift, you're getting your pay on the very same day, and that's then a recruitment tool for for them. So I mean, broadly speaking, at a high level, yeah, I think is COVID bringing a lot of companies that traditionally haven't done remote work and obviously now need to, and then after 6 months of doing it, or 3 months, depending on where you're at in the world, will they start to adopt more of that model? We're able, yes. I think it's opened the doors for services and companies and platforms to sell and win those new type of clients who probably were not open to even having those discussions previously. So I see a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to get to it, this is probably one of the largest data grabs in recent history that will determine the next decade plus, with how much has been gathered around all these different industries. And Dennis, would love to hear your thoughts as well. I mean, where are we with all this? Is it real? Is it something we're going to be going forward, or kind of what are you seeing on your side?
Well, I mean, Dion said a lot about the fact of remote work already. So maybe I want to give a little insight of what we've seen as well in the educational part, where you've mentioned universities. And I guess especially universities, when it comes to regular courses, they're doing a good job. They've sort of already done a lot in the field of actually providing online courses. where we've seen an impact is on executive education. So there's a lot of executive universities who all of a sudden all they were selling was network events basically for high executives.
Mm-hmm.
This is falling apart, so they're losing out on a lot of business. And where we believe the largest impact might be in this matter is when it comes to younger kids' education. So we're seeing a lot of homeschooling that is happening, which is absolutely necessary. But I think a lot of people are missing out the fact that school for children is not only about learning in the educational sense, but it's a lot about actual social learning. And I think that's going to be a very, very huge challenge if this situation, remains when it comes to how we're actually going to show our children to actually have social skills rather than only educational skills.
That's a good point. Rahul, what further thoughts do you have on that as someone who focuses on education and especially education in India as you mentioned earlier in the show?
Thank you very much, Kyle. First, let's talk about the investment in EduTech. As online education sees a massive boom in India. There's a recent study that's over 14 startups have raised funding since March 2020. There are two renowned names, Byju's and Unacademy, raised 400 million and 100 million USD in a round led by Facebook. Not only this, many more other startups following their footsteps toward fundraising in EduTech. Even in this tense environment of COVID-19 pandemic, EduTech is expected to remain a promising and hot sector for VC investments. Along with that, I want to put some points on the RemoteTech. During this lockdown, using of Zoom, as we also on Zoom, for personal, official, and school increased exponential. In a recent report in April 2020, Zoom is now worth more than combined valuation of American Airlines, Expedia, and Hilton. Thank you.
Yeah, and I saw a list yesterday that added about 7 more names to that as well. But I mean, the future can't be Zoom, right? There has to be so many more tools that play into this world, or else, you know, we're all going to be having coffee and eating meals like this together, and it's not working. To Dennis's point of the social aspect. Zhang, I want to come to you. I mean, you and I talked a little bit pre-show about a lot of the work you guys have done at your fund and you've done in your history around this future of where we're going around work. I would love to hear your thoughts on where we're going.
Yeah, so I think Ascension started investing about 5 years ago, and I don't think we kind of knew it was future of work at the time. We did a lot of investing in kind of ed tech and creative businesses and platforms that allow people to kind of make money in new ways. So as I was saying earlier, I think out of our 91 investments we've done in the last 5 years, 27% of those are future of work, and they've kind of outperformed the rest of the portfolio with a kind of 36% IRR versus 19. So we've been analyzing, because we're launching a new kind of future of work fund. So we wanted to look at the track record. So even pre-COVID, they were outperforming the rest of the businesses. And I guess the area that we're focusing on moving forward is really income creation. So we think COVID and the recession is going to kind of increase the disparity between the haves and the have-nots and the kind of digital exclusion. And so we're particularly interested in investing in the tools and platforms that are going to allow people to, you know, make a good living and start making some income.
So follow up on that. We look back to 2008. We'll just use that as an example. That created the explosion of the gig economy, right? That's when we saw the likes of Airbnb and Ubers and others that came up that created this this kind of side hustle or these side gigs or what turned into be people's full-time roles. Do you see this, based on your thesis, do you see this as another boom for that when it comes to income generation, that we're going to see more kind of microservices or opportunities for people to start generating more income in different ways?
I mean, I think there's going to be a huge challenge to kind of reskill and upskill people, from children up to people that are currently working, for this kind of workforce 4.0, or it could be 5.0. So there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs building tools that help people kind of create the skills that they need. And then on top of that, there are the platforms. So we have one called Vidzi, for example, which connects thousands of video creators with brands. So kind of disaggregating the agencies that take a long time to create video content at high budget and kind of slow. And here you can open up that brief to thousands of creators around the world to do their thing and get paid for it. So platforms like that will start to accelerate, particularly around the creative industries, I think.
It's exciting. I'm curious to see where that goes. And Xiaochen, what are your thoughts on where this is all at today? I mean, you're in Hong Kong or somewhere else if you've been traveling since we've last spoke. But I know you just did a recent talk on this. You're focused so heavily on fintech, but I mean, where are we going with all this? What is it all really looking like from your standpoint?
Yeah, and just reflecting to the conversation, and in July that we are hosting this touchless economy forum. So that's exactly how we see it. And before that, many times that we are looking at really the physical within the physical interaction, and many of the business models are constrained by place, by time. And now that, because of COVID-19 and, many of the business models are really starting to looking at the touchless component, which is essential or becoming essential. And then we assume that this trend is going to be continued. The reason is very simple. After all the companies who have allowed their staff to work from home, and then they save a lot of cost of operational cost by renting the space and compensating for the transport, etc. So then many of those the future of our work will be very different from today. The same thing apply to learning. And after all the universities, schools are forced to just offer learning opportunity online. And it's not only about putting this start a Zoom call. And that's not learning, and you have to prepare your learners and also your educators to be aware of the pedagogy, and also that you have to prepare for the digital infrastructure which enable this seamless experience, and also that after they complete the learning process, how you can just have them to celebrate the learning results the same way how they celebrate face-to-face. And a lot of new innovations coming around, and those kind of new experience and the knowledge gained through the process will be continued. So we'll see many of the universities and the learning organizations are investing much bigger, and on one hand to address the pandemic, to reduce the losses, but in the meantime to just invest for the future. And we also see, for future of travel, in August we work with the US Transport Research Board for this blockchain for airport event. And now due to COVID-19, and we now put a lot of emphasis on how to just use blockchain and other technology to enable airlines and airports to just have this touchless type of model, which can help both the flight attendants and also the clients or travelers to have a better experience. And the tracing, tracking, and the testing, and all of them will be part of that. So that's why we see that the touchless economy is going to stay, and then we invest a lot in this new sector which is emerging.
Yeah, and Max, what are some of your thoughts on what's all happening? I mean, I know you're in London, but as we've talked about, you focus very globally. on your efforts. So what are you seeing, and what are your thoughts on where this industries go?
Thanks for the question. I mean, for me, when it comes to education, for example, I mean, the fund I'm going to raise now, probably more than 20% will be deployed in education. I mean, but as well as when it comes to smart working, working from home, and remote working, and of course, remote tech, because they are all together. So it's very much, we should divide between what is a soft economy, right? And what is a very hard economy. Tech can be very helpful for people who can work from home if you have a service, if you are named Google, if you are named Twitter. So everything is intangible. So now, if you are named Tesla, you need to fight with the government. I don't want to do politics, because you need to bring back employees. You can't build up cars from home, and so it's very different. When it comes to we need to divide, and when it comes to any sector of the economy. And again, I do believe that you need a black swan for changing everything one day. We have it. We have a very big one. We should be able to use technology for the good, and as well as when it comes to, for example, education. I do agree you can use technology and remote education when it comes to high school, when the students can be home by their own. But 6 years old kids, how can be home? If your parents go to work, how can you educate? 6 from home, can't work. So, I mean, we can't generalize everything, of course not. And we need to be very specific, and we need to understand that working from home, yes, I think is the future, but can apply to everything. So it's very different. And I mean, I want to finish with, I do believe that, you can save, I'm perfectly in line with, I can't spell the name, Xiaochen, I hope so. And I do believe you can save a lot in operations cost. OPEX can be very much reduced. And with the same money we are spending now, I saw numbers, something like an average 2,000 per month can be saved for any employees. This money can be used for CapEx. So this is how you improve R&D. You are spending nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that money it gets reallocated as well. As we've heard some stories recently here, where Dion and I are in the Bay Area of how some of that money may or may not be reallocated. So it's kind of exciting to see. Interesting, I should say.
Of course, if you save money, you buy back share, you've done nothing. But if you save money because you're not spending in too many offices around the world. And I mean, there are so many banks in London, in Canary Wharf. They already said, okay, why we should bring back 5,000 people? We can bring back 2,000. 3,000 can work from home. There are millions you save, and you can use for R&D. Again, improve technology, improve the safety of the workers, improve cybersecurity is a big deal here. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mitchell, I want to come to you. I know you've got a lot of thoughts on this space. I mean, where are we? What's really happening here as well?
On the education side? Right?
Yeah, education, work, remote.
Well, on the education side, I think there's definitely some interesting folks like looking at like social emotional learning, which you would think before, like, well, we kind of cover that because we have kids in the classroom and we're teaching them, we can watch them. But how do you do that remotely? So you have to have a different curriculum and method of measuring emotional intelligence. Like the things that are going to be super skillful for you to actually succeed. Interacting, I think, are now going to get pushed down. Before they were kind of like, I think you really didn't get to some of those things till you maybe were in college. And now I think there's ways, and there's a lot of interesting companies that are doing that. One of them, for example, is like e-learning Strut. They're in Chicago, and they're doing exactly that. Different ways of capturing that gap that we just don't even really cover unless you get to go to like a Montessori or something like that. And then obviously on the like as I think someone had mentioned, the future career advancement or just learning as you move forward, I think now you're going to have a lot of potentially like point solutions that are just really good at a certain educational track or a certain competency. and they're just going to be best in class, or they're just going to get, you're now going to see, I think, best in class for certain types of skill sets that are going to emerge and be more pervasively widespread. The other thing that I would say is you see some movement on the like augmented reality and a little bit on the virtual reality for just teaching, not only to use it as an educational tool, but actually to use it as a, hey, let me ride along while you're looking at something and I can see what you're seeing and I can help you out as you are doing your work. And it's a way to teach. So you can have a very expert level person who never has to leave their home teaching other people who maybe have to be doing something on the front line in some way. I think that is very interesting because you can use your phone and you can project things. And so some of those applications I think are interesting on the work front that could be kind of both doing the work as well as teaching. So those are kind of some of the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I'll mention real quick before we get to Tess and Adrian too is people like all of you. You know, about 2.5, 3 months ago, it would have been hard to get all of us in the same room together for an hour. Right. And we all are very, very smart at what we do. And, you know, now from an education standpoint, you can actually, may have the chance, at least right now, to learn from the best and the brightest all the way in the world because we're not all traveling. So we have a little bit more time as well. So that's, I think, going to be something that's pretty interesting. I've started to see as a trend as well. And maybe that's because I get to learn from all of you guys, you know, a couple times a week. So maybe I'm just biased. But Adrian, what are your thoughts on where everything is and where we're going?
First, in our technological and information era, in order to be successful, you need to be able to unlearn very fast things that don't work today and to learn new things pretty fast, lightning speed fast. And the fact that we work from home more than we did before. By the way, I work from home from time to time since 2010, I believe, and at the beginning was something very weird. And the fact that we have the possibility to educate ourselves, because education and our skills are things that nobody can take from us, is something very important. Also, we have only 24 hours every day, and if you are spending let's say 2 hours or 3 hours every day on commute, on traffic, this is time lost which will never come back. So it was the bright side of this period is that it allowed us to reallocate how we are spending our time. And I see the future of education very much like on demand, so not necessarily being tied to classes. So let's say if I'm a morning person and if I can learn something new in the afternoon, I can open an online platform, learn and do some tasks there, and that's it. If I'm a night person, I can do, let's say, this education and learning around lunchtime or when it's okay for me. So I see a big shift going towards on-demand delivery of information and education.
I like it. And Tess, real quick, your thoughts as well, and welcome to the show. But your thoughts real quick on kind of where we are and where we're going with the future of work, remote, and education.
Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, so I'm Tess Howe, founder of Tess Venture. Started a company. One of the early ones I started was acquired. Very fortunate with that experience. Started my own fund. So I've been looking at remote tech, touchless tech, and enterprise solutions for a period over the last decade, actually. And with COVID-19, I definitely seen that one of my top portfolio companies that is actually in authentication biometrics, where essentially you are the password. You are, no one else has your face because they're doing biometrics. You are your fingerprint, you are your voice. Your access to your account quickly and securely where it's touchless is incredible. So they're not just focusing on the traditional biometrics that is on cell phones, but they actually are FIDO2 certified, which is the standard of what the world is for all devices. And you're going to be seeing that, across the board with laptops, everything. So the world will be reimagined without password, but in a way that can also focus on compliance technology so that your information, your private information, is going to be protected and be able to have control. The user will be able to have control. So that's always top of mind, because as we see with RemoteTech, so much more information is going to land into the hands of enterprises, of the companies that are actually working with you, whether it's EdTech, health tech, whatever that company is in sector, they will have your information. So we need to think a step ahead of what will happen after RemoteTech, after touchless tech, and after WorkTech, where it's majority, a lot of our situation now is remote. So I think, the world has embraced that. So I'm, super excited. And I think also, compliance, privacy, authentication, all this together was going to be a very important theme. And then also with, that's one of my top portfolio company. The other one, they themselves are in, let's say, health tech, monitoring COVID, and also the fact that, they can help you with, your health and focusing on the need, because remote tech also extends into how do you take care of your health. So I think, I can speak more about that in a little bit. So I'll hand it back to Kyle so that we can move on to the next question first.
Awesome. Well, so great insights from everybody, but I mean, what is it going to take for these things to be successful? I mean, when it comes to the future of work, for instance, what does it take to be successful building for the future of work? Same with education and remote. Again, as mentioned, we can only do so many Zoom calls a day, right? We only have 24 hours in a day. We're only so productive in those 24 hours. And there's so many more opportunities potentially for us to spread into. So Zhang, I want to start with you. You and your fund have been investing in this for some time. You guys have great metrics. I mean, what is it going to take for companies to be successful in this era as we head into it? And hopefully we get rid of the words work, education, remote tech, and it just becomes normal life. So what is it going to take for a company to be successful, or for investments to be successful in this time?
Yeah, well, I think, the basic, the quality of the founder and investors, but I think people are going to have to differentiate their product a little bit. I think there's so many startups out there. So making sure that you've come up with something unique, and you've got very kind of clear routes to market. So I think kind of B2B to C models, possibly through telcos. I think telcos are really looking at this space. So those kind of partnerships with larger organizations that can help you get your product out there if you're a startup, I think is going to be, as important, if not more important than in the past. We've got an interesting one that's looking at sustainable supply chains. So this was in a kind of pre-lockdown world. If you were a new brand and you wanted to launch a kind of e-commerce site, and you were good at designing clothes, but you didn't want to have to fly out to India and meet all of your makers of cotton and t-shirts and other products and make sure that they're sustainable, you can kind of go through this platform, connect with those suppliers, and then there's almost like a remote collaboration platform as well, so that you can track the designs that are being made and signed off. There's a whole kind of audit trail there in case they deliver you the wrong materials, that you can kind of go back and see what was said. So I think things like that are just like booming at the moment are kind of really interesting on how you can deliver stuff remotely.
Do these tools and some of the companies that you're looking at, do these make us more productive, or do they just add to the load that we may already have?
Well, I think to some extent I think the idea of this one is it allows maybe an up and coming fashion designer that wants to launch a brand to not have to jump on a plane to India, because they want to make sure that their supply chain is sustainable and ethical. and kind of run around India for 3 weeks trying to figure out who's who and what's what, and keep a track that their supply chain is good. And then once that supply chain has been chosen, it allows them to kind of communicate directly on a platform that's custom made for that, rather than a Zoom, like trying to agree a fashion range on a Zoom call or something. So, you know, the tools become more specific to the industry that you're working in. They're kind of not, Zoom can't be everything for everyone, right?
Yeah, and I like that the word you throw in there is specific, right? So instead of having all these broad tools, now we have very focused tools as well. And Dion, to you, same question. I mean, what is it going to take for people to be successful? I mean, you're looking at the future of work, but also have this background in fintech. You know, combine those together. What is it going to take for someone to be successful in this era?
Well, I agree with Zhang. Is you've really got to look at your path to market and your channels, because there's a lot of good ideas and they're fairly disruptive. But when you're looking at, I can't speak so much from my experience on the EdTech side, but you know, certainly on recruitment, on talent, on the payment side of future of work, is you've got large sort of dominant players. Many of them, some have been innovative, a lot of them haven't, but they have large market share. And there's a lot of comfort in that. So you've got to look at your go-to-market strategy and say, okay, if I'm a same-day pay platform and I can pay you at the end of today, but how am I going to go win that market? Do I have to partner with a Paychex and an ADP? Do I have to partner with the global talent search companies? And if I'm going to do that, can I really get in front of them, and can I do it pretty quickly? I think if you're a two-sided marketplace, say you're in nursing or what have you, and you're not going to partner with them, great idea, but to organically get that out, you're going to need an awful lot of money to get the exposure and scale pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't go to market, on your own, but you probably have to have, as Zhang said, a good, B2B2C strategy, maybe in parallel with a bit of a B2C. But I think the long point made short is the differentiator I'm seeing to success is great idea, great technology, as it's always been pre-COVID and the founders. But okay, in your next 6 to 12 months, how fast can you get out to market? Because before, you could probably raise a decent amount of money and you could maybe have an 18-month plan. And I believe right now, that raising the money is harder if you're a startup and early stage, and even your A and B rounds can be more difficult. But your runway there to get out to market and get some more scale is more of a 12 months, not 18 months. You need to demonstrably show that you can do that much quicker.
Mitchell, I see you shaking your head, so go for it.
Yeah, Dion's right on. I would say there's I see it quite a bit of the start off in the B2C space, prove the concept, prove you can get the end customer, and then immediately start looking at how you're going to be B2B2C and find channel. Because you're just, to Dion's point, especially in the financial space, like what's it going to take for just one of these big financial institutions to just look at your market and be like, all right, and they already have all the marketing. And this pattern has been repeating, although they haven't been as good at executing, even though I heard that a while back from Mike Siegel at 500 Startups, who runs their fintech. And he's like, yeah, it shouldn't take them that much effort to do these things, but they're not doing a good job. But still, that is an issue that can be overcome by doing that. You start off in a very niche, very consumer, and then you immediately figure out, how do I help now all the big folks? Because I've now just proven we have a better mousetrap than what you have. You should look at us. And I think that tactic, I think, should be employed more. It's just, you probably have to have a solid conversation with the investors so that they know that that's your strategy, and have level of confidence when you communicate. And maybe you can get skyrocket and just do business to consumer. If somehow that's just an intriguing value proposition and very easy, low way for word of mouth or something else to just have the dynamics, just have it be off the shelf fast. Yeah, I agree with everything he was just saying.
No, that's a good point. Dennis, to you, I mean, the future of education, what is it going to take for people to be successful? This is not going to work, right? Zoom meetings, as has been pointed out. There has to be some kind of social impact. There has to be something so much greater. I mean, what is it going to take for a company focused in this new era of learning and education to be successful anywhere in the world?
Yeah. Maybe to add one little thing to the speakers from before, and that's sort of the segue into this. I think that a very, very important part is community, now more than ever, that if you as a company can actually manage to create a followership of people who really engage with what you're doing, then you're going to have a much easier sort of track and word of mouth, like was just being said, to actually spread your product across industries and engage people with a much stronger position and relationship to your company. And I guess this also sort of goes over into the educational part, where you will have small communities for very, very specific sectors. So we said before, obviously university, high school, all this kind of stuff is something where you can have students actually engage by themselves with educational content, but it's going to be difficult when they're younger. And so one of my beliefs, and I think this also goes for the work from home, there will have to be hybrid solutions. There's not going to be the fully remote only kind of educational system, because people might not even have the room to do it. Yeah, they might sit on their kitchen table with 3 kids and then 2 roommates, whatever it is. So we will need hybrid solutions, and I guess that's going to be the one who cracks on that, on having social interaction combined with the digital solution. That's going to be something very, very potential there.
And the technology, you wouldn't. It's not talked about very greatly, but I mean, the amount of universities, right, that had to switch online, or even companies had to stock their staff with the tech. I mean, I think Amazon was sold out of webcams for weeks, and even now is still delayed on being able to get a decent webcam. Google, or Alphabet, pardon me, was running into difficulties trying to find laptops for their employees. I mean, this is one of the top 5 companies in the world. They make laptops. They can't even get enough in terms of technology to their employees. So I think that's one thing I'll add from just my learning as well, is the technology. People need to adopt for that, whether it's mobile, desktop, some new type of technology, right, that we're all going to use. And Rahul, with that being said, what are you seeing in terms of keys to success as well in education?
Well, on education side, the key success is how you use your time. I'm totally agree with Adrian. There's also saying that time is money. How much you utilize your time in a better way, that's the most important part. Also, Dennis mentioned a point about the kids and all. I have a 4-year-old kid. Also, online classes and all, this is a very tough task. Although I mentioned about it, it's very tough task to sit with him all 4 or 5 hours in the front of the screen, and to maintain him sit on a single position, same position. So there are some foundation, there are some challenges, but think through how to manage that. Along with that, many education industries and I say industries and many education institutes has to think through their target segment. There's a name, Akash Institute. I'm naming that institute. They are providing IT colleges, IT and medical, and they're very renowned name in India. They totally shifted to the online classes. They have reduced their fees by 50%, but simultaneously they are increasing their number of the students. So from that point of view, they are increasing their revenue simultaneously and increasing the number of students. So we have to think through and make a combination of all such things, how to do that.
No, it's a very good point. And Xiaochen, anything else to add on that as to kind of where we're going to be successful in terms of education?
Yeah, and there are a couple of points. And one is that, when you just compare online education with the face-to-face one, and the number one thing is that we have to recognize online education as of now as an industry has not been a very successful one. And no matter we talk about Coursera and all the other online platform, the completion rate is extremely low. When I was still with World Bank, that's, for our courses, and even, we have a MOOC course which will participate by more than like 15,000 people for one course, but the completion rate was extremely low. And so people still just, don't enjoy that, the online part as much as the face-to-face. But online education can definitely learn from other industry which are already been much more successful. For example, like gaming. Everything in gaming industry is online, super engaging, and people love it. And the parents and everyone have to just drag them out of the digital experience. But the online education is far from there. And what we can learn from the gaming industry for the online component, how to make the experience better. And the second part is that many of the learning organizations think that it's just a technology. It's not, and it's very, very important to just to really understand who you try to serve. And are you a 2B business? Are you a 2C business? And the business model is extremely different, and the technology behind it, and also the pedagogy or engaging tools are totally different. And many of the 2B side now think because of the online, and I can go directly into 2C, or the 2C side saying I can just engage in 2B, and without really this further or deeper thinking, and then those models will fail. So I think that is critical. The third component is is very important to look at the successful cases. And I mentioned one of the show that we hosted, and the mineral project in the Glory Camp, who was sharing about their model. And people think that they are online. They are not. And they combined the online with the face-to-face in like 8 cities globally. They, the online facilitated, experience. Then they bring, people throughout semester in different cities to meet, then to have that face-to-face component. People are longing for both experience. And I think that is a critical component. You can, the thinking that, online will replace face-to-face will never happen. It's like, people think with computer, there's no paper or all those kind of crazy thoughts. Online will not replace the face-to-face. Face-to-face need online to just enrich experience, to solve the problems. By the end of the day, no matter we are as investors or we are as startup innovators, we have to just be clear who we are serving, what problems they are facing, and are we able, or our pipeline or portfolio company able to really fill that gap? Those questions are really essential when we prepare for the future.
Mm-hmm. I see Mitchell shaking his head again over there, and then Dennis as well, that online won't replace face-to-face. There's just so much that you get out of that face-to-face interaction, whether it's 6 feet apart or it's right next to each other, nonetheless as well. But I want to get to Adrian. Your accelerator program, that one of them that you run, is virtual. What does the future of remote work look like in remote tech in your eyes? Is this something we're going to see more of? What is your quick thoughts on where we go with the future and how to be successful in it as well?
First, about how to be successful, you need to focus a lot. Mm-hmm. I believe that the most successful companies now and in the future will follow this pattern. We as sales and marketing people, especially as marketing people, we know very well many things about our target market. We know what keeps the people from our target market awake at night. We know the questions they are having in their heads. We know their desires. We know their fears. So the very successful products, services, and companies will be built around a certain target market. So I'm focusing on a certain target market. I know very well the buyer persona I'm addressing, and I build my product and I build the service to become like part of that person's life. Mm-hmm. So that person will not even feel that is being sold. I will take the example of Zoom. Zoom works for us, let's say, but for our children, it doesn't work. So I have to two children, one of them 10 years old, another 5 years old. They are doing school and kindergarten via Zoom. With school, she gets along, my daughter, but for kindergarten, it doesn't work at all because it's not built around what kids like to see, like to hear, like to experience. So the most successful products and companies will be ones who will over freaking deliver on their target market.
Mm-hmm.
This is the over freaking delivery. So I would not say over. The ones who will give the best experience possible, to be a no-brainer to purchase that service and their product, they will win. It's
Mm-hmm.
not easy, it's hard, but you know, the time will pass anyway. And it will be like a similar effort to do something average or good, and also doing something amazing. So this is my feeling around that. And even in everything I'm doing everything I can to over freaking deliver. Like this is my mantra these days.
I love it. I love it. And to over deliver, let me jump over
over freaking deliver, not
over freaking deliver.
Over freaking deliver.
Freaking deliver. My apologies. Over freaking deliver. Adrian's stressed it enough 7 times right there. I'll stress it an 8th. Max, you know, in terms of this future of remote, you know, what else is it going to take for people to be successful other than over freaking delivering on their on what they say? Oh, we got you on mute.
So it really depends. If for remote tech, remote working, we intend just working from home. I mean, I do believe companies should understand much better how to incentivize workers. I mean, if you stay home, I mean, it depends. Some companies, they really, for them, actually having workers home is more productive. For others, it's less productive. I don't know if it's because the business model, if because the topics and what this guy they should do home, or because just, you know, when you feel home, you are more relaxed and, you know, you are not as excited as you are. I'm honest. I don't like that much working from home. I'm very much honest. And although I'm doing now, for me, it's more about how, as a company, I can make my employees or wherever they are more productive at home. Because in the end of the day, when it comes to economics and when it comes to business, productivity matters. Is the last line before profit. So you need to be somehow working from home. Yes, you need to give all the tools they need, but also you need to make them feeling in the right way. So because I mean, you can have people lay on the couch for hours. Who knows? I mean, and also it's very important how you define productivity and how you measure productivity, right? Because actually, I don't care if you stay 6 hours sleeping. I don't care at all. As long as you delivered what I need, right? Mm-hmm. If you are so smart, you can do it in 2 hours. Do it. You're absolutely good. Do it. For me, for example, with my partners, employees, whoever they are, I measure everything by productivity. So if I need 7 done by Friday, you give me 8, and you work 4 hours, absolutely fine. I'm okay. Mm-hmm. This is for me. I mean, working from home is fine, and if you like or not, but you need to make it very productive, and of course, endorsing me and having the people working for you or working with you very comfortable, because in the end of the day, if they feel good, they work well. If they don't feel good, they do not work well.
So a little controversial question with that. If I can do everything in 2 hours, do I still command the same income of what is normally reduced into, or normally expected in 40 hours?
I do. Yes, indeed.
All right.
Indeed, even more.
You're just too sweet. You're too sweet.
Why? You know why? Because I do believe we should balance the life. We can squeeze people working 18 hours per day. I mean, that's not life. I mean, I do love when I go to Denmark, in Sweden. I went to a guys in Sweden. This guy, they stop working 5 o'clock, whatever they're doing, because they need to live that life as well. I mean, again, if you can balance your life, the better you can balance your life, the better it is for the company, because you feel well. If you're well, you work well. There's nothing to do. If
Dennis,
you don't work well.
Well, to that same point, Dennis, when it comes to education, I mean, should I be paying the same amount I am for university full-time on campus versus, say, distance learning, where I'm just getting what I need in an hour, as an example? I mean, is this a challenge of business models as well?
Well, I guess it's a difficult question. There's a lot of because we've been talking about Coursera and companies that sort of enabling distant learning. I mean, there's companies, I think they're actually from the Bay Area, like Hot Chalk, who've been digitizing universities for the last decade. And they've helped them actually produce courses that are just as valuable from the educational point of view as the real life courses, but are cheaper. So I guess it depends a bit on what you're trying to achieve. So if it's about the actual learning experience, where you said, okay, we have, and then Rahul was saying that before, we have the content and we're delivering that content, but we're delivering it to 1,000 people individually, so to say, rather than 100 in the classroom. We can make that content cheaper for the 1,000, but still have the same or an increased revenue. Whereas when we talk about executive education, which we were saying before, this is a lot about the actual networking behind it. So you will probably not be able to deliver executive education in the way that it's being delivered today. So I guess that is going to be a big challenge. But to answer your question directly, I would say that if you have online courses and you can learn through that way, and you actually deliver to more people, why not make it cheaper?
Zhang, I see you getting antsy over there. I feel like you might have an input on this too. And
well, no, I was just thinking about it from a kind of wider societal. If you look at the retail industry and even restaurants pre-COVID, we're struggling to stay alive. Now people are like, getting Deliveroo, learning to cook from home, realizing that it's cheaper to eat at home. You can drink more cheaply, not wanting to go out. People that didn't do e-commerce, maybe doing a bit more. So you wonder what happens to the high street. You wonder what happens to property prices in London. Like if you can go work in Manchester or Bristol and, get a nicer, more space for your family, you're going to go live there. So there's going to be, I think, some pretty large impact on society as a whole in terms of property prices, retail. And I think that's, could be very bad for some industries.
No, I think that's a good point. And I see Max got a smile on his face over there. So following up on your point, but Tess, this all being said, and even to Zhang's point, I mean, from the remote and health aspect, right? So health you brought up last week or earlier this week, pardon me, being so important. And we've got a lot more to talk about, which we will here shortly. But when it comes to the health of all this, how does that affect us real quickly? And what should we be prepared for to be successful?
Great question. So obviously health tech, and especially anything related to helping an individual solve the remote aspect has always been something that's very important, or even in office. Because of technology, most of us are sedentary all the time. So I've been looking at the future of even health tech in terms of what is needed to keep a person balanced and holistic. So obviously with COVID-19, there's a lot more startups and technology tackling mental illness, depression, and that all stems back to the word balance. And that is, exercise, health tech, how do you mobilize that? So as we can see, Peloton has already been very successful in being able to do that immersive experience. And that's hardware combined with software. That company itself, has already seen value and value capture venture, it's always also a different story when you're trying to also scale massive. For those who you can afford it, that's the best for busy people, for people that is working from home, and how you can get everything in. So that balance, I think, maybe there should be something related to balance tech. How does one balance meditation app, wellness apps? All that has already been very successful, and I've been aligned with my vision and what I can contribute as an investor. So still actively investing. Been very fortunate. I feel a couple of acquisition. One, namely, definitely recently, and that's VR tech. That is simply because we have to solve the problem now of how do you and can you replace in-person events? What's going to happen to concerts, sports events, obviously conferences, and that's why I've definitely, been very fortunate to look into companies that focus on event management, but remotely in small scale and massive scale. And the key is, how do they offer immersive, interactive experiences, which stems back to, some of that, once we figure out, can be offered in EdTech. And for example, this weekend, one of my friends, we met at Stanford. She said, Tess, I know you're busy. Now that Xiaochen is in place, you're probably busier than ever because, taking care of all the backlog and all the initiatives that you wanted to launch. She's like, you have to come to this remote concert with me. And I said, I worry about, signing up and not taking up that space. And she's like, yes, it is very coveted. However, I think you should go because it's an experience that some of the Hollywood, folks are putting together, and it's covered in the sense that it is meant for an exclusive group. It is targeted at certain people. And then I signed up. Well, she signed up for me. We looked into it, and the password's going to be released right before the event, so that you don't get this transfer of passwords. And they've marketed in a way that, wow, I was like, this is my first remote concert. And they managed to provide that privacy aspect, the exclusivity that, is generating buzz. So I'm super excited at, really finding and seeking out those technology companies that's going to be able to create those kind of experiences for us.
Yeah, and back on balance, I don't know if everyone saw the headline, but, meditation app Calm did a number of partnerships this past week and announced them. And one of them was with Amex. That Amex customers got 1 year free subscription. And on the first day of that announcement, over 1 million Amex users, American Express users, signed up for that application, which I think just furthers the importance of balance, whether it's, something like Calm or something else. By all means, there is that big desire to have something like that in our lives with this new era of 24/7, 365, go, 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 and not so much being able to go, but instead things shifting very quickly. And with that, I want to pause real quick. And Mitchell, I've seen you shake your head and want to throw in about 10 different comments. And I've stopped you, so we're going to come back to that. We do have to switch to the next part of our program, which is about the startups. Each of you are investors, and our audience is also here to see these great companies share a little bit about what they're working on in these spaces and those on the fringe of them as well. And then we'll come back afterwards. We'll get a little bit deeper into fundraising in this area, what it takes, what you're looking for, etc. So without further ado, speakers, investors, you are now our judges. Each of you should have a form in front of you for each of the companies that are about to present. If not, ping Elena and she'll make sure you get that. Please hold all questions to the end. We'll go one after another for our startups. They'll each have about 5 minutes to pitch, and then we'll get to feedback and to the last part of our talk about the investment and how to be prepared and successful in raising capital right now in these areas. Startups. As I mentioned, you got 5 minutes each. Be conscious of that time. I don't want to have to cut you off. Afterwards, we'll take all the feedback, we'll rank, and we'll announce the winner of the grand prize after we get everything in. And so without further ado, I want to welcome up David. David, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with us.
All right, David, the floor is yours. You got 5 minutes on the clock.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, it's not the, okay. Hi everyone, very interesting discussion. My name is David, I'm a co-founder and CEO of NeuroPet. And I think I surprise you with a very, very innovation technology out of the box. NeuroPet solved a huge pain of pet householders and veterinarians, especially on dogs. A device that diagnoses pain, sickness, emotion, and behavior. And we do that with analyzed brainwave now we focusing on dogs. A little about me, I have 20 years experience in technology, former CTO, an Israeli security agency. My partners, Professor Natan Interator and Sharon, are very talented. And NeuroPet have developed a new exciting technology based on brain signal analysis with three non-invasive miniature sensor placed on the dog forehead. We can understand dogs' feels in real-time, diagnose pain before become illness and psychological symptoms. Such epilepsy, we can diagnose even if the puppy wants a pee or poo before he pees and transmit over the mobile by voice and text. We also use very deep AI, machine learning and deep learning, and we test a lot of pivot in the area of COVID-19, such how we converting a dog to be electrical biological sensor. Imagine how we can help with professional sniffing dog to detect viruses in real time. So let's talk numbers. We focus on two vertical, the pets householder and the healthcare. And it's a huge of growing market. The US size market reach more than 100 billion market, and all over the world, more than 250 billion. With annual growth, older market of 5% till 208. The US pet market size that we focus in reach 25 of the market and register annual growth of 50%. The second vertical is the healthcare. For example, the US pet healthcare market size reach more than 50 billion, and the diagnostic that what we do reach more than 50% of the expenses. NeuroPet support remote diagnostic and monitoring dog health and transfer the information directly to the veterinarian. We do that faster and cheaper. The diagnostic we provide today are only done in a hospital using expensive equipment. Another vertical is the data and that we collect and we analyze and selling license in the future. We have no competitor in our technology. Understand what dogs feel and support in real time medical and diagnostic what we do. NeuroPet based on technology that has been researched and proven to human, and we are in advanced stage of FDA approval. Not for the dogs, for the women. Our business model is based on selling device and subscription, regular and premium fee. We intend to market B2B to C, this time through collaboration with leading distributor and veterinarian. And we are early stage company. I don't say that we are located in Israel with a very exciting MVP, and we are looking to raise now. Sorry. And we are looking to raise now about $2 million to initial funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Judges, please make sure to provide your feedback and scores into the forum and get those submitted over to Elena as we move on to our next founder. Vakram, are you there?
Yes, Kyle, I'm here.
Awesome. Floor is yours. You've got 5 minutes on the clock.
Cool, thanks. Okay, hi. My name is Vagaram and I'm founder at EduTech. So Invest is an algo trading platform. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, loud and clear, can hear you
cool.
as well.
Cool. So Invest is a social trading platform that provides retail investors access to algo trading strategies curated by experts. Now, the problem what we are focusing here is of two sides. One is for traders. Currently, the traders who are full-time, they spend a lot of time on screening the stocks, trying to identify what their entry points, exit point, and risk management, doing how to manage their risk. And due to that personal viewing of the screen, they have a limitation in terms of tracking the movement in the market, tracking the various instruments, and what they feel also to automate their trading strategies, either to scan the entire market and also control their emotions and be more disciplined, which are the like two traits for any traders to be in the market, to successful in the market. On the other hand, retail investors who are looking for the higher returns do not have expertise to invest directly in the stock markets. So what they do is like they either go through the mutual funds, and the problem with mutual funds or any other funds is like, they are not transparent enough. They doesn't not show like where actually their money is moving, and they are expensive. Like generally it's a 2 to 20% ratio. They will charge the investors even if they don't make any money. Uh, uh, so the market opportunity, what we see is like the retail investment, uh, like the investment by the retail investors in the stock market or equity market is about 7 trillion globally and about 400 billion in India alone. And the trends what we are seeing, like traditionally it's only the big funds, they were trying to move to the quants and algo trading, but now even the retail investors also want to explore this side of the market. Why algo trading or quant trading matters is because it's fast, it's accurate, and it's efficient. It can scan the market like thousands of instruments at a time. The solution what we got is to empower the traders who understand the market to build, test, and automate their trading strategies. So what they all need to focus is to improve their strategies and not to focus on the information that is coming from the market. On the other hand, the traders can either they trade for themselves or they publish their strategies on our platform, wherein the retail investors can access those strategies and identify how they are performing, and based on their risk and return profile, they could be subscribed to those strategies. The product demo is very simple for the traders. They can control their movement. They can test their strategies on the historical data. They can do simulation on the live market, which is sort of paper trading or gaming on the live market. And then once they are comfortable, they can take their portfolios live. So we connect through the API, the broker accounts, and all the trades are sent through the API to the broker accounts without any human intervention. In terms of retail investors, they can check out various strategies built by those professionals, filter out based on their risk and return profile, check out how it has performed over a period of time, and then what they need to do is just subscribe to them, and then the investment will happen in their account based on the strategy. Various product features currently we have is like the users can do a lot of we have a lot of mathematical and statistical models which a trader can use to build his strategies. They can screen the stocks from the entire bunch of companies available in the market, and there are a lot of risk management tools, simply saying like how much risk you should do, a trader is willing to give up in one trade or in the entire portfolio. And we also have a sentiment analysis where a user can try to understand what's the sentiment, new sentiment of a particular stock, whether it's positive or negative, and trade based on it. These are the features currently available, and we are going to add more on the fundamental side. More data will be added, wherein they can take advantage of those things. So currently, the product with the product, the users are able to automate their trading strategies, build a portfolio which is entirely automated, from like selecting the stocks to the risk management to entry and exit. We are also working on providing the tools, machine learning tools for the traders to optimize based on parameters, like using sentiment analysis, where they can each news feed has been assigned a score using our ML models, where it will give a user which can, those scores can be used in building the portfolio by the traders. And then going ahead, since there's a huge amount of data involved, we would also be running our own proprietary AI and AI models to identify the opportunities in the market. And as like we need to be very efficient in terms of computing power, we are also now exploring to have building the models on quantum computing. In terms of go-to-market, we have two segments. One is partnership with the brokers, RMS providers, and advisors. So currently, we have like partnership with few brokers where we integrate their APIs, and the users of those brokers will come build their strategies on our platform, and then their broking account is linked through our platform, so all the trades happen on their account. And the brokers are mainly interested in this because this increases on the one side, the users become active who is trading through an automated system, and for the broker, as the number of orders increases for them from the user, their revenue also increases. So they are quite open to have such kind of platform being integrated with them. On the other hand, we are also trying to reach directly to the users through trading blogs, meetups, and online ads and referral programs. In terms of our traction, we have about like 800 plus active traders currently. We have focused only on the trading part of it, who has created about 2,000 plus portfolios and have a traded value of over $12 million. In terms of partnership, we have two brokers with whom we have partnered readily, and we are trying to test their systems. And once we have the system ready, they will be able to provide the access to their users, which sums about like more than 100K, which in India alone. And there are also in talks with we are also in talk with the OMS providers. They are the software provider to the broker houses to integrate their system. So once we integrate this OMS system, we will have access to the 8 brokers, and that could give us a user base access to about 500K users. These are like all in partnership we have currently. Our business model is a subscription to the traders. So we for the traders to build their strategies, they would pay a subscription fee to use our tools, build, test, and automate the strategies. So once they have automated strategy, they don't have to actually pay subscription all the time. They can just switch over to transaction fee. So as and when the trades happen, we could charge them on a transaction. And also, as we would also be building our own trading algorithms and also enable the users to build it. So somebody who's subscribing to those automated strategies would also be able to share the profit if when traders. So it's also a profit share model available on the with us. In terms of competition, we have broadly two segments. One is on social trading and
yeah, Veteran, I'm sorry, we went a little over there, so we'll have to finish that out a little later. Next up, we have Soren. Soren, you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm there.
All right, floor is yours. You've got 5 minutes.
Okay, I need to find my slide here. Share screen. I think it's that. All right. You guys see it? Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Company purpose of Börse.de website, bringing people together through chat and through wallets and keys. They can self-generate them at Börse.de website with their own coin Geld-C. Plus educating people about finances, business investments, cryptocurrencies through social media and use case of Geld-C through dating chat at datingport.net. With the purpose to add VR, virtual reality, to the page in the near future. The pain is that most people have no financial or business or investment education, so they look for it online by self-study. More and more single people in this world live alone. Solution, my company value proposition, free educational information through newsletter at Börse.de website and twitter.com/Gelder and Telegram t.me/Geldercoins, YouTube and Instagram. The product sits physically in social media channels and in chats. In chats at datingport.net, every customer gets automatically Geld coins when buying access to the chat with Euro. It's a dating portal. Use cases, Geld-C coin is used as a value of exchange already with Bitcoin, US dollar, Ethereum, and Waves. Further use case, people get Geld-C coins as soon as they buy access to the dating portal, datingport.net. Why now? Historical evolution. People see that currencies more and more inflate and central banks are printing more and more fiat money, and therefore look for safe cryptocurrency, and nobody likes to be isolated, stay at home. And so people look online for chats, and datingport.net provides for them. Virtual reality will further and future bring people together at datingport.net. Apple just bought VR company NextVR this month in May for $100 million US. Worldwide virtual reality and augmented reality headset shipments and revenue, you see it's really high expected next year. Yeah, it goes for really up in the high millions, 72 millions in virtual reality, and revenue 18.6 billion. Virtual reality gold rush profit potential, it's 6,780% profit. Yeah, $1,000 becomes 68,000, $5,000 becomes 344,000, and $10,000 becomes 688,000. Recent trends, people don't read paper anymore. Instead, they look and connect online for information, especially in times of Corona. Corona makes them more isolated and aware of dangers of the outside world. So they stay home evenings, social distancing, and connect through social media, email, chats, and they get rewarded by doing so with Geld coins. E-commerce, online purchases are 3.4 trillion globally, momently. The market size, profile of the consumer, all people who use cell phones, laptop, PCs, who have an internet connection from 18 years upwards. Total market demand, annual contract value, multiply the number of possible accounts. That's in the beginning, 1,000 people, multiply 3,000, it's around 3 million. Serviceable available market, it's 1 in 3 people use social media. So that's 3.5 billion people worldwide. And the share of market, we have no value yet because it just started out. Competition, no known competition yet by names. Competitive advantages, Geld is the first mover with the coin product. At Börse.de website, we offer wallets and keys to create for the customer. Geld coin is a member of the Ethereum blockchain family. Therefore, every Ethereum address can be used to store Geld coins. Social media sites for finance information already functional. Twitter.com/Gelder, t.me/Geldercoins, a newsletter at Börse.de website. Chat is available already in German and in English language now also at datingport.net. And yeah, the virtual reality aspect is coming soon. Development roadmap, chat site already in work at datingport.net. Marketing start this month, 2020. Business model, profit from chat and by giving away free crypto information at social media channels and newsletter. Pricing for the customer is 10 to 200 euro. And the average lifetime value, it's 10 to 200 euro per customer one-time purchase. Sales and distribution model, online by ads and on social media and through chat. Customer pipeline list, newsletter people from Börse.de website and follower from social media sites, around already 50,000 people. Team, me and various developers, financials, no profits yet. The deal, $100,000 for marketing purpose and implementation of virtual reality, and then 5% every month for the investor. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have our last startup, Rajesh. Are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, you've got 5 minutes. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Is it visible?
Yep.
Very good evening to all of you. My name is Rajesh Nair. I am the co-founder and CEO of Earn Wealth, a fintech based out of Pune, India. Earn Wealth is India's first AI-enabled social commerce fintech platform, digitizing financial consultants, real estate consultants, insurance agents, and mutual fund distributors to acquire new clients, earn more, retain. India is the third largest fintech market in the globe, and this market is being dominated by distributors who are using the platform offline. Right? We are trying to digitize them. We are a Government of India recognized startup. This is our registration number. The journey so far, we have 500,000 plus applications for various financial products. We have 40,000 plus financial consultants associated with us. We call them referral partners. The biggest USP is we are the only fintech in India that offers 360-degree financial products. We have so far raised $627,000 in seed funding, and we have done a revenue of $1 million US dollars. The problem that we are trying to solve, financial consultants struggle to serve their customers with multiple products. In a big country like India, this is a very, very common challenge. The reasons attributed are too many financial products, too many financial institutions, and lack of technology. So the value proposition that Earn Wealth brings on board, all financial products, including real estate, we have got two pillars to our organization. One is on the supplier side, who are nothing but financial institutions, and on the distribution side, we have referral partners. What is it in benefit for both the parties? On the financial institution side, they get high quality leads, resulting in increase in efficiency. This reduces their marketing operations cost and increased number of transactions. On the distribution side, just on one app, they can acquire customers, earn and retain. In a scenario like COVID-19, we have seen an increase in demand and downloads of our app. They get the best deal that they can offer to their customers, and the transactions are completely hassle-free, which means that there is no running around. The market size, it is estimated at $30 billion currently. The target audience for us, which is the TAM, which is 550 million financial advisors, 30 million real estate consultants growing at 8%, and Indian fintech market is growing at 21% CAGR. How does this work? Simply download the Earn Wealth app. They can start, the registration takes just less than a minute. They can start punching in leads for various products, whether it is loans, investments, or insurance. They can also track the status. We have got tech partnership with the lenders, asset management companies, and insurance companies in India. We use AI and ML to leverage the best performance from our distributors. Their commissions are paid to Earn Wealth wallet. This is very similar to the other wallets. You can see the transactions and the money being paid. This is our slogan in India. We call it Kamate Raho. It means nothing but keep earning. So our AI and ML system helps us for three basic things. One is for the product selection, the customer profiling, and the vendor selection. Earn Wealth advantage, we only manage the technology. The referral partners sell our products. One app, multiple activities, increase revenue for them, highest customer retention because they are offering everything available in the world, low cost of acquisition, resulting to low cost of operation. So how are we making money? We charge the institutions 4 to 7%. We also intend to charge the distributors once they start earning a substantial amount from us. This may be from $100 per year. And obviously the data monetization part. We are on a mission to help 1 million financial consultants to digitize their business in the next 3 years. We will follow online and offline strategy. We have a couple of competitors who are not offering 360-degree products, but they are focusing, somebody is focusing on loans and somebody on mutual fund. We have placed ourselves on the top because we are offering 360-degree financial solutions. About the team, I look after the business development and the marketing part. I come with 16 years of experience with DBS, Tata AG and ICICI Prudential. My co-founder is also the CTO. He is with Cognizant and Symantec. Prashant is on the board. He helps us with HR and finance domain. The traction we had done 2018-19, which is April from 18 April to 19 March, $100,000 revenue, and we had burned around 200,000. We tripled it almost in the last financial year. We intend to grow at around 7 times from this financial year onwards. We are looking at $1 million. We would spend majority of for acquiring our distributors. And the rest for the operational and tech talent. In the next 5 years, we are saying that we will take this to around $50 million revenue company. So that's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure interacting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rajesh. So to all of our judges, please make sure you get the information filled in on the forms. You do get those submitted ASAP over to Elena so she can total all those up and we can announce a winner here very shortly. And as we get to that, I want to get some feedback in. Guys, each and every one of you, thank you for pitching. It takes a lot to get up and whether it's virtual or in person, nonetheless, it takes a lot to tell your story to a broad audience, and we do appreciate that. Let's start with Zhang. Any feedback for Earned Wealth and what Rajesh and his team are doing? You're on mute.
I've had to move locations because my children came back and they're kind of kicked me out of the other room. So I missed a bit of that. So
welcome to the club.
So can we go to another person because I was being hassled at that exact moment. Sorry.
No problem. We're all displaced at one point or another, so no stress. Dion, let's go to you for feedback to Rajesh. Oh, looks like we may have lost Dion as well. So Rahul, I would love to get your opinion. I mean, you're also based in India, and I know Rajesh is as well. And is this relevant to the Indian market? Is this something that you have some feedback for Rajesh on?
Hi Rajesh, very good evening.
Hi Rahul.
Hi. Rajesh, so far I'm concerned, that's this is my personal opinion. Yes, you said this is an untapped, unorganized market that you're looking for. It is so similar to the Upwork like of things, to organize, get the consultants on the same board, and you're not getting so much of cut. 4-2% is a good cut. But how many mutual funds or consultants you are target to approach in a year?
So Rahul, like I mentioned, our downloads so far has been around 60,000. People have completed the registrations. This has come without spending a single penny on the marketing side. What we intend to do with it is post the fundraising activity, which we expect to complete by September. We are targeting 1 million. So obviously around 20% would come in the first 6 months. So we are targeting around 120,000 people coming and registering from this particular fraternity from October till 31st March 2020.
Okay, that's good. So far, Kel, for you, from my side, it's a good opportunity to invest in, but it's a personal opinion. I can't invest in that one. But yes, it's an untapped, unorganized market which can be looked at. forward.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul.
Xiaochen, and any additional comments or feedback to Rajesh?
Yeah, and amount 4, and I like this one the best. And
Thank you.
one is, this is also an area that we really pay a lot of attention to. And number 1 is that, they are addressing a problem, which is a super exciting problem. And especially in India and China, this kind of market where that you will see the wealth generation or accumulation is growing, and many more individual will need wealth management support. On the other end, it's like financial literacy is really low. And so then there's so many offers, but how to differentiate different offers and especially how to get the right advice to invest their money and then without getting, cheated and all that. This is a huge, huge market gap. And I think that's, to start from Indian makes totally sense. And also you already have the revenue model. You already just have the early, 1 million as what you mentioned. And with the use case and all that, I think everything is very exciting.
Thank you.
From the question side that, I have a couple, and the one is that, of course, that's it's about the design, and I think by the end of the day, that's how to just have the application to be more user friendly. And when from your maybe later you can share with me more information about design, all that.
Sure.
So from current version, I see it's not seamless yet, and maybe that you can share me later. The second part is around probably you call them channel partners, all that, but how to cross-sourcing expertise into the platform. And I think that's the key. And many times that's such a platform, when you just started from one location and based on your access or network before, then you can just build the first round of users. But when you expand, how can you make sure that you have enough expertise be cross-sourced into this? The third one is around financial liability, because you are matching the advisor to just help people to put their money into different investment opportunities. What if those opportunities just turn into a very serious financial liability? And who should be responsible for that? And have you just designed a model which can just be define the responsibility clearly enough that who will be responsible for those kind of situation, and then the platform will not be overwhelmed by the potential claims and legal battles.
Yep. Great point, Xiaochen and Rahul, or Rajesh, pardon me. We'll have you guys follow up online. Dennis, I want to come to you for any feedback or comments to David, our first presenter.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm a little bit biased on the pet market because that's actually where I started out with my own companies. So we were into sort of pet insurances. We actually tried working on one of those smart pet collars. So I feel you when you talk about hardware with dogs, and maybe just a few questions and thoughts that we walked through or went through when we actually were within that space. And I must say that I wouldn't say that there's no competition in your market, especially in the US. There's a lot going on around there. They might not be as sophisticated yet, but there's a lot of people working on these matters. So I would maybe have another deep dive into who's actually around, especially big chains like Mars and all that kind of stuff. We're working within that. And then something that would really interest me and maybe get a quick take from you is the whole thing about, I mean, it is a device that you're placing on the dog. and a lot of people are treating their pets like their child. So how are you sort of going to go about that when it says, okay, I'm actually having electrodes, even if they're non-invasive, on my dog, battery life, them taking them off, all these kind of things, which I believe are probably very, very hard to sort of control.
That's good points, and I've been in that same space as well. I'll just add on for 7+ years, and I've been looking at companies in this space since 2013. So definitely in both corporates and startups. So definitely take a look at that bigger competitive landscape, because there's a lot happening, and it's a multi-billion-dollar market that people are looking will forever put cash into on all levels. So you've got great partnerships and you've got great consumers. Dennis, I know you have to run real quick. So before you go, quick shout out, where can everyone find you and your firm as well?
Well, you can obviously find me on LinkedIn, like pretty much all of us. And then if you want to get some more information on the actual company, it's on faradayvp.com. Where we have some information about the network, the investments that we do. And I invite anybody or everybody who was here today and who was watching us, get in touch. More than happy to connect. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, and enjoy the weekend. And Mitchell, jumping over to you, any comments or feedback for David as well? Oh, Mitchell, we got you in a little bit of a muted haze. All right, you're
Can
back.
you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was unmuted. I said I like the pet space. It can be a little bit challenging at times, just trying to get adoption. So for me, it's always like, if it's an interesting enough solution or value proposition, it's just, for me, it's just like how do you scale those businesses? I do have maybe the concerns of like, that was just shared regarding, concerns from a dog owner about having this device. But I do think it might be one of these situations where the channels can really drive the adoption of this, and or you just get so much positive exposure, and then you just get a little bit of word of mouth, because folks are, like, I'm not a pet owner, but I now have been around pet owners for quite some time, and they will do anything for their pets. So if this can be perceived as like, hey, I now have a better understanding of what their needs and wants are, I think that if you can overcome any of the potential challenges to that experience, I think it has potentially some legs, especially here in the States, but I gotta imagine in other places as well. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the go-to-market, like where I would make some suggestions, but I definitely think it's interesting. I would want to know more, actually.
Thank you. Sure.
There you go, Adrian and Max. I want to come to you for some feedback for Soren. Adrian, let's start with you. Any feedback or comments for Soren, our third presenter?
Are you talking about DatingPal, right?
I'm sorry?
The project is datingpal.net,
yes,
right? The
yes.
third one.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yep.
The dating niche is a huge one, very, very competitive. I have to check more to see the relationship between dating and the Ethereum currency they are doing, because what was not very clear from the pitch. And also the newsletter feature, which is hosted on boards.website, it's not clear why it's there. So I have to inquire more. I took some notes here. As said, it's a very competitive, very, very competitive niche, meaning that there's a lot of money there and a lot of potential. To succeed in this niche, and I will repeat the idea. You need to build it around the customers, their needs, their fears, and the dating niche has a lot of anxiety, especially during this period when people could socialize online, but it was more difficult than ever to actually meet offline. So I would use this anxiety as a potential to build some content around that to really help people to navigate this period. But I said, big market, huge opportunity, great niche. Focus, focus, focus.
Awesome. And over freaking deliver.
Yeah.
Max, anything else to add? Feedback to Soren?
Yeah, I mean, Adrian covered already a lot. I mean, when it comes to dating, probably one of the most crowded by far market. Maybe there are a couple of dating sites every day. But I mean, to succeed, because in the end of the day, what you need to do, Soren, succeed, is, it's about content. I don't know, I mean, you didn't mention at all about which kind of content you are going to put. And again, just sharing on social media, I don't think is enough. And how vibrant can be this place to be, it's not clear to me the connection between crypto and the how useful it can be. I mean, what you can do with this cryptocurrency when you have it in your wallet. And yeah, I mean, again, it's a very, very competitive. And so, if you can deliver the best content combined with the best execution, yes, of course. But to me, you need a lot of good luck.
And Tess, I want to come to you for Vakram. Any comments or feedback for Vakram and Invest Technologies? And we do have the winner here. So Tess, quick feedback, and then we'll jump to the winner and go to our closing thoughts.
Sounds good, Kyle. So I think good job for all the presenters, and a lot of the panelists gave some good insight. For myself, maybe I can speak about just this 5-minute elevator pitch. So the minute pitch is very important. The goal is to be able to bring enough information. So the investors that made an offline meeting with you, ideally almost immediately in the next coming days. So how much you want to raise, and also, what you have raised, and any notable investors or advisors will help, and kind of your momentum for fundraising. Because at the end of the day, I think, if you're looking for advisors, the information you give is great. However, if you're looking for serious investors that fit the area of, being a strategic investor to what you're doing, it is very important to highlight those aspects immediately so that we can, really remember this and ask. Notice that, some of you were doing very well at presenting. Some of you, was kind of reading off the PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint already functions as information sharing, and we can easily read that. You need to use this time to impress and, use your charismatic and, your role as, one of the founders to really try to show the audience, which is, investors here, advisors, probably strategic partners.
He's already there.
Yep. Perfect. Just go ahead and drop it in the chat. Soren.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah. You can find me on twitter.com/Gelder. Should I write it down?
Just drop it in the chat. We'll share it with everybody. Vakram, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, I've shared my email ID, vagaram@invest.tech. I'm also available on LinkedIn, Vagaram Chaudhary. Be able to find.
Awesome. David, where can everyone find you? You're on mute.
Hi, you can find me in neuro-ped.com or david@neuro-ped.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Again, big shout out to all of our startups for presenting today. A great job to everybody and an exciting weekend ahead. Speakers, investors, and judges. Let's close it out. Where can everyone find you? Tess, let's start with you.
You can find me on Twitter, TessHow1, and also on LinkedIn, TessHow. Thank you, Kyle.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Max, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Max Sulpizi, or just type my name and surname on LinkedIn. That's it. Or HSMI-London for my company. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Rahul, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, hello everyone. You can find me over Twitter, Rahul G4U, and over LinkedIn, it's neighbor Rahul Gupta. Thank you.
Wonderful. Adrian.
My main hub for contacting is LinkedIn. Search for Adrian Niculescu on LinkedIn.
All right, LinkedIn it is. Xiaochen, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, and I left my email there, and you can also find me on LinkedIn or just go to Crowdcast, our show site as well.
Awesome. And Mitchell, where can everyone find you?
LinkedIn is probably the best. I just put it in the chat.
Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much to our audience for joining in today. We had a great long show, but on a very important topic on where the future of work, remote, and educational technology is going and where it is today. So how to be prepared, how to navigate this. You have an outstanding panel of judges here and speakers and investors from around the world that have tons of insights and would love to follow up with each and every one of you. So please do reach out. A thank you to all of you speakers for joining us as it's late everywhere. It's a holiday weekend here in the States. Everyone's about to start barbecuing and enjoying themselves. But everyone does deserve a long weekend in the times that we are. So please enjoy yourself this weekend. Again, thank you for your time at all hours around the world. A shout out to Elena and the entire LATOKEN team again for putting this panel and putting this production of VCTV together for us and for you at home. I'm Kyle Ellicott signing off for another edition of VCTV. We'll see you back here on Monday for more as well. Everyone have a great week.